Dear soul, God lit a sacred fire in my soul through the power of your love. Something extraordinary happens in a human life when love becomes more than emotion. It becomes light. It becomes a quiet flame that no storm can extinguish. Many people believe that love is only a feeling between two hearts, but sometimes it is something deeper, something sacred, something that awakens the very core of your soul. And there are moments in life when you suddenly realize that a connection you once thought was ordinary has actually been the spark that awakened a divine fire within you. It is not loud. It does not demand attention. Yet it changes everything about how you see yourself, how you understand your journey, and how you recognize the quiet ways God moves through human hearts. Before we continue, if this message touches something within your heart, you are warmly invited to comment, "Amen, I believe." If you appreciate faith-based encouragement like this, you can also like this video and subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss uplifting spiritual messages. And if at any moment you feel personally moved by what you hear today, you may support the channel through Super Thanks as a voluntary gesture of appreciation. It is never required, never pressured, and never connected to receiving blessings or miracles. Your presence and your heart are already enough here. Faithful heart, there are people who spend years searching for purpose, searching for peace, searching for something that makes them feel alive again. Yet the truth is that sometimes God does not send answers through grand events or dramatic signs. Sometimes He places another soul into your path, a soul whose presence quietly ignites something inside you that had been sleeping for years. Perhaps you once felt numb, disconnected from hope, or unsure whether your life carried any special meaning. You moved through the days doing what needed to be done, but something within you remained quiet and dim, like a candle waiting to be lit. And then, without warning, a presence entered your world. Maybe it was through a conversation, a shared moment, a simple act of kindness, or a connection that felt strangely familiar from the beginning. You could not explain why their words felt different or why their presence stirred something deep within your chest. But slowly, something began to awaken. Dear soul, the sacred fire of the soul does not ignite through force. It ignites through recognition. Through the mysterious way one heart can remind another heart of its forgotten light. Perhaps you noticed that when you thought about this person, you felt more courageous. When you spoke with them, your thoughts became clearer. When you remembered their kindness, something inside you warmed in a way that felt almost holy. It was not obsession. It was not illusion. It was something quieter and far more powerful. It was the gentle realization that love, when guided by God, does not weaken you. It awakens you. Faithful heart, there are connections in this world that exist for comfort, and there are others that exist for transformation. Transformation does not always feel dramatic. Sometimes it feels like a slow sunrise within the soul. A realization that you are becoming someone stronger, kinder, and more alive than you once believed possible. And the beautiful mystery is that the person who helped ignite that fire may not even realize the depth of what they awakened within you. They may simply be living their life, offering their authentic presence, while the quiet influence of their love becomes a spark that God uses to illuminate your path. Take a moment and listen carefully. If you look back at your journey, you may notice that before this connection appeared, something inside you had grown tired. You may have felt that your heart had experienced too many disappointments or that trusting again felt impossible. You may have told yourself that it was safer to remain guarded, safer to expect less from life and less from people. Yet God often works in the most unexpected ways. Sometimes the very love you believed you could no longer feel becomes the instrument through which your soul is reborn. You who are listening right now may already recognize this quiet transformation within yourself. Maybe you have noticed that your prayers have become more sincere. Maybe you have begun seeing beauty in places where you once saw only routine. Maybe the thought of the future no longer feels empty, but instead feels filled with gentle possibility. Dear soul, this is how sacred fire begins. It does not roar like thunder. It grows quietly, steadily, illuminating the corners of your spirit that once felt forgotten. If this message found you today, there may be a reason. Sometimes a reminder arrives at the exact moment when your heart needs reassurance that what you are feeling is not foolish and not accidental. The love that ignites your soul's courage, compassion, and hope is not something to dismiss. It is something to honor with humility and gratitude. Because when God allows another person's love to awaken something sacred within you, it is not only about romance or companionship. It is about awakening the deeper purpose that has always lived within your spirit. Faithful heart, think about how your perspective may have changed since this connection entered your life. Perhaps you began caring more deeply about the way you speak to others. Perhaps you started valuing your own heart in a way you never did before. Maybe you began believing that kindness still matters in a world that sometimes feels harsh and indifferent. These are not small changes. These are signs of a soul that is remembering its divine origin. The sacred fire that love ignites is not meant to consume you. It is meant to illuminate the path you are meant to walk. Dear soul, many people misunderstand love because they believe it is meant to complete them. But divine love does something even more powerful. It reveals the strength and light that were already within you. The right connection does not make you smaller or dependent. It reminds you that your spirit carries a depth of courage, compassion, and grace that you may have forgotten during difficult seasons. And when this realization begins to grow, you may find yourself becoming more patient, more understanding, and more aware of the quiet miracles happening around you each day. Take a moment and listen carefully. The sacred fire within your soul was never meant to remain hidden. It was always meant to guide you toward a life that reflects the beauty God placed within your heart. Sometimes that guidance arrives through solitude. Sometimes it arrives through challenges. And sometimes it arrives through the mysterious, transformative power of love that awakens your spirit in ways you never expected. Faithful heart, the truth is that when God lights a sacred fire in your soul through the power of love, it is not the end of a story. It is the beginning of a deeper journey, one where your heart begins to understand that love is not merely something you receive. It is something you become. Faithful heart, when a sacred fire begins to burn within the soul, it does not behave like ordinary emotion. Ordinary feelings rise quickly and fade just as fast, like waves touching the shore and then retreating back into the sea. But the fire that God ignites through love carries a different nature. It grows quietly, patiently, and steadily, illuminating parts of your spirit that once lived in shadow. You may notice that your thoughts begin to change in subtle ways. The things that once disturbed your peace may no longer hold the same power over you. The worries that once felt overwhelming begin to soften. And in their place, a quiet strength begins to rise from within you, like a warm light slowly filling a room that had been dark for a long time. Dear soul, this is not an accident. When love awakens your spirit, it becomes a mirror through which you begin to see the truth about yourself. Not the doubts that the world once placed in your mind, and not the fears that past disappointments may have planted in your heart, but the deeper truth that God has always known about you. That your soul carries resilience. That your heart was created to give and receive kindness. And that even after seasons of confusion, the light within you never truly disappeared. It was only waiting for the right moment to be remembered again. You who are listening right now may recognize this feeling in ways that are difficult to explain with simple words. Perhaps you find yourself thinking more deeply about the meaning of connection. Perhaps you notice that the presence of one person has quietly influenced the way you see the world. It is not about dependency or losing yourself in another. Instead, it is about awakening something that already existed within you. Their love did not create the fire, it simply sparked the flame that God had already placed within your spirit. And once that flame is lit, it begins to transform the way you move through life. Faithful heart, the most beautiful aspect of sacred love is that it teaches the soul how to grow without fear. For a long time, many people guard their hearts because they believe vulnerability is dangerous. They believe that protecting themselves from disappointment requires building walls around their emotions. But when a connection carries the gentle touch of divine guidance, those walls slowly begin to soften. Not through pressure, not through force, but through the quiet realization that love can exist without destroying your peace. Take a moment and listen carefully. You may begin to notice that your heart becomes more open, not only toward the one who awakened this fire, but toward life itself. Small moments begin to carry more meaning. A conversation becomes more thoughtful. A simple smile becomes more genuine. Even silence can feel comforting when shared with someone whose presence resonates with your spirit. These experiences are not coincidences. They are signs that your soul is remembering how to live with sincerity again. Dear soul, many people search for extraordinary signs to confirm that something meaningful is happening in their lives. They look for dramatic events or unmistakable signals from the universe. But the truth is that the most profound transformations often occur quietly. They unfold in everyday moments, through the steady influence of love that encourages your heart to remain open, even when life becomes uncertain. If this message found you today, there may be a reason. Perhaps you needed to be reminded that the warmth growing within your soul is not foolish or naive. It is not a weakness to feel deeply or to allow love to inspire your spirit. In fact, it is one of the greatest strengths a human being can carry. Because when love becomes the source of your inner fire, it does not lead you into chaos. It leads you toward clarity. It teaches you patience. It encourages you to see the goodness in others without losing your ability to protect your own peace. Faithful heart, the sacred fire within you also brings another quiet transformation. It begins to reshape the way you understand purpose. Before this awakening, you may have believed that your life was defined only by responsibilities or expectations placed upon you by the world. But when love touches the deepest part of your spirit, you begin to realize that your existence carries a deeper meaning. Your kindness matters. Your compassion matters. Even the smallest acts of understanding that you offer to others become part of the light that your soul now carries. Dear soul, the person whose love ignited this fire may not fully understand the impact they have had on your journey. Sometimes people simply follow the authenticity of their hearts without realizing how deeply their presence influences another life. But the beauty of divine connection is that it does not always require explanation. Some bonds exist to awaken growth. Some exist to remind you that hope is still alive within your spirit. And some arrive at the perfect moment to guide your heart back toward the path it was always meant to walk. You who are listening right now may feel a quiet sense of gratitude when you think about this connection. Not because everything has been perfect or easy, but because it awakened something meaningful inside you. Even if challenges have appeared along the way, the fire within your soul has continued to burn. And that fire is not dependent on circumstances. It exists because love reminded you of the strength that already lived within your heart. Take a moment and listen carefully. The sacred fire that God ignites through love does not only change how you feel about one person. It changes how you understand yourself. You begin to trust your intuition more. You become more aware of the energy you allow into your life. You begin choosing peace over chaos, sincerity over illusion, and patience over fear. These changes may appear small at first, but together they create a powerful transformation that shapes the direction of your entire journey. Faithful heart, there may be moments when doubt tries to return. There may be days when you question whether the warmth within your soul will remain. But remember this truth. A fire that God ignites cannot be easily extinguished by temporary uncertainty. Even when circumstances shift, the lessons that love awakened within you continue to guide your spirit forward. Dear soul, think about the quiet courage that has begun to grow inside you. Perhaps you now find it easier to forgive the past. Perhaps you feel more comfortable expressing your thoughts with honesty. Maybe you have discovered a deeper sense of compassion, not only toward others but also toward yourself. These are signs that the sacred fire is doing exactly what it was meant to do. It is helping your soul evolve into a version of yourself that carries greater wisdom and greater peace. If this message found you today, there may be a reason. It may be arriving as a reminder that the love which awakened your spirit is not something to fear or suppress. Instead, it is something to nurture with gratitude and humility. Because when love becomes a source of spiritual awakening, it transforms ordinary moments into meaningful steps along a path guided by light. Faithful heart, the truth is that the sacred fire in your soul is not only about receiving love from another person. It is about becoming a source of that same warmth in the world around you. When your heart carries genuine kindness, it begins to influence the lives of others in ways you may never fully see. A gentle word, a moment of understanding, a gesture of patience, these small expressions of love become sparks that spread the light even further. Dear soul, the journey that began with a single spark of connection is continuing to unfold within your spirit. And as the sacred fire grows stronger, you may begin to realize that love has become more than a feeling within your heart. It has become the quiet strength guiding your steps, the light that helps you navigate uncertainty, and the warmth that reminds you that your soul was always meant to shine. Faithful heart, as this sacred fire continues to grow within you, you may begin to notice something remarkable. The love that once felt like a simple connection between two hearts slowly begins to reveal itself as something far deeper. It becomes a teacher. It becomes a quiet guide that gently shapes the way your spirit understands life. Before this awakening, you may have believed that strength meant guarding your heart, hiding your emotions, and never allowing anyone to see the vulnerable parts of your soul. But the fire that God ignites through love teaches a different truth. It teaches that true strength is not found in closing your heart, but in allowing it to remain open while still protecting your peace. Dear soul, this realization changes everything. Because when your heart learns to remain open without losing its wisdom, you begin to move through the world with a different kind of confidence. You no longer feel the need to chase approval or prove your worth. Instead, you carry a quiet assurance that your soul already holds value simply because it exists. And the love that awakened this fire becomes a reminder of that truth each time you reflect on how far your spirit has grown. Take a moment and listen carefully. Many people misunderstand the purpose of divine connections. They believe that love must always follow a predictable path, leading immediately to clear outcomes and certain destinations. But sacred connections do not always unfold in ways the mind expects. Sometimes they arrive to awaken something that has been dormant within you for years. Sometimes they exist to remind you that your heart still carries the ability to feel deeply, to trust again, and to hope for something meaningful beyond the disappointments of the past. You who are listening right now may feel that this fire has already begun to change the way you see the world. The small details of life may feel more vibrant. Moments that once seemed ordinary may now feel filled with quiet significance. A sunrise might inspire gratitude. A simple conversation might carry unexpected warmth. Even silence can feel peaceful rather than empty. These changes are not coincidences. They are signs that your soul has begun to awaken to the deeper beauty that has always existed around you. Faithful heart, when love becomes a sacred fire within the soul, it does something extraordinary. It begins to dissolve the illusions that once kept your spirit confined. The belief that you are not enough slowly fades away. The fear that your heart is too fragile to endure life's challenges begins to lose its power. In their place, a quiet resilience begins to grow. You begin to understand that the strength of your spirit does not come from avoiding pain, but from allowing love to transform the lessons hidden within every experience. Dear soul, there may be moments when you look back at the person whose presence ignited this fire and feel a sense of wonder. How could one connection carry such influence over your inner world? How could a single relationship awaken courage that you did not even realize you possessed? The answer lies in the mysterious way God works through human hearts. Sometimes the people who enter our lives do not arrive only to share time with us. They arrive to awaken parts of our spirit that had been quietly waiting for the right moment to rise. If this message found you today, there may be a reason. Perhaps your heart needed reassurance that the transformation you are experiencing is real. Perhaps you needed to hear that the warmth growing within your soul is not something temporary or fragile. It is a sacred fire that has been carefully lit, one that carries the potential to illuminate your entire journey moving forward. Faithful heart, as this fire grows stronger, you may notice another quiet shift within yourself. You may begin to care less about the noise of the world and more about the truth within your spirit. The opinions that once felt overwhelming may begin to lose their weight. The expectations that once defined your choices may no longer control your direction. Instead, you start listening more closely to the gentle voice within your heart, the voice that reminds you who you truly are. Dear soul, this inner guidance is one of the most beautiful gifts that sacred love can awaken. It encourages you to live with authenticity rather than fear. It inspires you to express kindness without hesitation. It teaches you that your presence in this world carries meaning far beyond what you once believed. And when you begin to trust this inner voice, you start walking a path that aligns with the deeper purpose God placed within your soul. You who are listening right now may feel that this journey has changed the way you understand time itself. Moments that once felt rushed now invite patience. Situations that once triggered anxiety now encourage reflection. Even challenges begin to reveal hidden lessons that strengthen your spirit rather than weaken it. This is the quiet wisdom that sacred love awakens. It teaches your heart that every experience, both joyful and difficult, carries an opportunity for growth. Take a moment and listen carefully. The fire within your soul was never meant to remain small. It was always meant to expand, illuminating the path ahead of you with clarity and compassion. And as it grows, you may discover that your capacity to love extends far beyond the connection that first ignited it. You become more understanding toward others. You find yourself offering patience where frustration once lived. You begin to see humanity through the lens of empathy rather than judgment. Faithful heart, this transformation is one of the greatest miracles love can create. Because when your soul learns to carry this kind of light, it begins to influence the world around you in ways that cannot always be measured. Your kindness becomes a quiet blessing to those who cross your path. Your words become a source of encouragement to hearts that may be struggling. Even your presence can bring calm to situations that once felt tense or uncertain. Dear soul, the sacred fire that God lit within you through the power of love is not only shaping your own journey. It is also becoming a light that others may unknowingly draw strength from. This is how love expands beyond individual hearts. It spreads gently through acts of compassion, understanding, and sincerity that ripple outward into the lives of others. If this message found you today, there may be a reason. Perhaps you needed to be reminded that the transformation happening within you is not something small or insignificant. It is part of a much greater story, one in which your heart becomes a vessel for the warmth and wisdom that love has awakened within your spirit. Faithful heart, there may still be moments when uncertainty appears. There may be times when you wonder where this path will ultimately lead. But the beauty of sacred fire is that it does not require you to know every step in advance. It only asks you to trust the light that already exists within you. Each day that you choose kindness, patience, and sincerity becomes another step guided by that light. Dear soul, the love that ignited your spirit was never meant to trap you in expectation or fear. It was meant to liberate your heart from the limitations that once held it back. It was meant to remind you that your soul carries a depth of strength and beauty that no disappointment can permanently diminish. And as this sacred fire continues to grow, you may begin to realize something truly profound. The love that awakened your soul did more than change your life. It revealed who you were always meant to become. Faithful heart, as this sacred fire continues to glow within your spirit, there comes a moment when you begin to understand something deeply peaceful. The love that awakened your soul was never meant to create chaos within you. It was meant to restore balance. It was meant to remind your heart that even after seasons of confusion, disappointment, or loneliness, the light placed inside you by God still exists, waiting patiently to shine again. Dear soul, many people spend their lives believing that love must always be loud to be real. They expect grand gestures, dramatic words, or constant reassurance. Yet the love that ignites a sacred fire within the soul rarely behaves this way. It moves quietly. It teaches gently. And over time, it becomes a steady warmth that strengthens your spirit rather than overwhelming it. You who are listening right now may notice that the fire within you no longer feels uncertain. Instead, it feels calm, like a steady flame that continues to burn even when the winds of life begin to shift. This is the quiet confidence that sacred love creates. It does not demand control over the future. It simply allows your heart to trust the path that is unfolding. Take a moment and listen carefully. The most powerful transformation that love can bring is not the excitement of the beginning, but the wisdom that grows afterward. Because once your soul has been awakened, you begin to carry a deeper understanding of yourself and of others. You learn that love is not only about receiving warmth from someone else. It is also about becoming a source of that warmth in the world around you. Faithful heart, this is where the sacred fire reveals its true purpose. It begins to guide the way you treat people. You become more patient when someone is struggling. You offer kindness even when it would be easier to remain distant. You listen more carefully to the emotions hidden behind another person's words. These small choices may seem ordinary, yet they carry extraordinary power. Because each act of compassion becomes another spark that spreads the light even further. Dear soul, the love that once entered your life as a simple connection has now become something much greater. It has become a reminder that your heart was never meant to remain closed. It was meant to experience the depth of feeling that only genuine connection can awaken. And even if the path ahead continues to unfold in ways you cannot fully predict, the sacred fire within your spirit will continue guiding you toward truth, toward growth, and toward peace. If this message found you today, there may be a reason. Perhaps your heart needed reassurance that the transformation you feel is not something fragile or temporary. It is the beginning of a deeper way of living, one where love is no longer just an emotion you experience occasionally, but a light that becomes part of who you are. Faithful heart, remember this as you continue walking your journey. When God lights a sacred fire in your soul through the power of love, it is not meant to burn out or fade into memory. It is meant to illuminate your life in quiet, meaningful ways, guiding your spirit forward with wisdom, compassion, and grace. And as long as you allow that light to live within your heart, the warmth it carries will continue to remind you that your soul was always destined to shine. Type Amen.